ask for money without feeling inhibited or awkward. In today's live CEO Freedom Masterclass, we are going to give you the 3 factors that you can apply right now in order to overcome the fear of sales and confidently ask for money. Now, I know exactly what it's like to feel super awkward saying, hey, how do you want to pay? And we're going to talk about how you can overcome that very quickly in order to hit your targets and goals with your business. If you're watching this live stream anywhere other than our Facebook group, you can join us at ceofreedom.com/Facebook to join the marketing and sales mastermind. We do this training in there live each week. We have incredible content, bonuses, and free resources that you can utilize. Plus, it's just a really cool community of people who are all moving in the same direction towards their goals. And we also do daily strategy tips, and you can access the guides for lots of other resources as well. So my name is Shannon Lavinia, and my co-host and husband, John Lavinia, is here with me as well.
Glad to be here. Good to see you here as well as you're viewing this. Quick introduction if this is our first time meeting. So Shannon and I have been educating entrepreneurs now for well over 20 years. We've done over 8 figures in sales, online and offline. And we've been able to help students achieve high levels of success in their businesses in a variety of industries. We're both authors. We've been featured in top publications like Entrepreneur, MarketWatch, and others. And we're also the creators behind the CEO Freedom programs and the paid framework, providing coaches, consultants, and agency owners with automation and growth strategies to sell out their programs and magnify their impact. So I suspect if you're watching this, that applies to you as well. We're going to get into 3 points today that are going to help you do exactly as Shannon said, overcome fear of sales and confidently ask for money. Because, hey, if you're in business, you better be able to ask for money. People got to buy something. I've heard, Shannon, that customers are good for business, right? So how do we go ahead and help someone, notice the words I'm using, help someone transition from, potential customer or client to buyer, and then of course, raving fan, referral source, repeat buyer, etc. Well, there's 3 things we're going to cover today. The first one may sound too simple, but if you've had inhibition or insecurity or doubt or any sort of emotional, anything other than confidence around sales and selling, this is the first thing you can do that's super simple, and don't take it for granted because it's going to sound really simple. And that is to just look at the people that you're attempting to serve. Okay, so now we've talked in these conversations, we've talked about surveying, asking questions and all that. I'm talking about something even simpler than that, like going, let's say, to a public place, right? So here you are, you go to the shopping mall, the bus station, somewhere where there's lots of people, and you don't have to say anything, okay? But you're just there in that environment and you just observe other people. Now, here's the question. Do you know the backstory and like the life story of all these people? No, of course you don't. Some of them could be your ideal customer. Sure. And how would you know? Just by looking at people. But here's the point. When you're in that environment, you are recognizing, and you're able to do this very, very easily, you're recognizing that everybody's got their own story, just like you've got one, but we're all just people looking to what? To create increase, to survive and thrive in the world and all that, just like you. In fact, you've got even a bit of what I would call altitude over other people because you know something that they don't about the benefits of your product, your offer, whatever you've got. You see, most people, obviously, these people you're looking at walking around you, they're ignorant of the benefits that could be theirs if they just bought your stuff. You're not ignorant. So it's your job to then enlighten people. And which people? These people, the same ones that they're not scared. They're just walking around being people, right? So when you can have some of that perspective, and then you get into, let's say, a one-on-one or a one-to-many sales conversation, and if you can maintain that perspective in that other environment, where now you may have thoughts like the pressure's on or whatever, just maintain the perspective that these are just people, that they want the benefits that they don't know how to get. I know I'm here to help them. I'm here to help them get those benefits. So then go ahead and do that. If you've got a solution for them, now it's your moral obligation to share it, which, Shannon, leads us to the second thing. Before I get into it, though, I want to see, have you done this? Have you just stopped and just looked at people and just kind of got in present time with that and relaxed?
Yes, I have definitely done that, because otherwise it can seem very overwhelming, and it kind of gives you tunnel vision when you're in a sales call or in a sales presentation with one other person, and it's just you and them. It's easy to forget that that is just another person that's there. They have a problem, they need a solution, we're offering the solution. So instead of looking at it from the viewpoint of like, oh my gosh, I really want to make this sale, or I want to make this money, or, I maybe you're new and you're thinking, oh, I need this money to fund my marketing or get a new computer or whatever it is, right? That you're looking to do. You can actually sit across from the person and just say, you know what, here's another person just like me. They have a problem. I have a solution. And if I can help them understand how my solution is actually going to handle this problem and create a tremendous amount of relief in this specific area, then that's actually going to be of service to them. So you can look at it from a point of service where you're actually assisting another person. A great way to think of this, and John knows I always love to relate to just kind of real life analogies, right? And my daughter and I were just out shopping over the last couple of days for an event, and she was getting new sneakers and stuff like that. And we walked into a store. She wanted new Converse sneakers. So we walked into a store, and a young lady approached us and said, hey, could I help you with something? Is there something you'd like to know about? And it was a great conversation because I was able to let her know what my daughter wanted. And then I was asking her about other items in the store. She was educating me about them. What is the brand? What's the benefits of this brand? What's the value of it? Right. And if she hadn't been there, I probably would have walked in and out and not even transacted with the store. So when you look at it, like, she was really being of service to me in that transaction. Now we take this to the digital world, and it's the same thing, right? Somebody has meandered into your business ecosystem, and now it's your job to say, hey, how can I help you? What do you need? What problems are you facing? What program is going to be the best for you? And to seek that conversation and to offer up that solution. So I love that as number one. And to be out there and to just look, walking through the mall, we just saw all kinds of people, all kinds of experiences, and, just looking around and say, everybody's just trying to do their best in life.
Exactly. And so you may not have suspected that we were going to start today's session with like therapy, but you just got therapy. Like, that is truly therapeutic, right? In fact, even with or without like sales and people and all this, right? If you're doing subjective work, in other words, if you're in the thinking and decision making and all that kind of stuff, or staring at a computer screen all day, it's really good to like go do something not subjective, objective. Yes, objective. Let's go out and look at stuff, right? Trees and like look at the squirrel. I mean, that is a nice reset button that you can hit on your attention and all the thinkingness about it, right? To just get in present time and just be there. Which brings us to the second thing. Now that you're there, and now that you're confronting people, let's say in a sales conversation or however you're offering, this could even be via like a video or something where you're not even in a dialogue with somebody. But regardless of the method, you damn well better know your product and feel confident about this and be able to communicate the value of that to people. You see, people got to be able to understand the power of what you offer and the penalty for not going with it, right? So there's got to be kind of a push and a pull. And we get into this much more in depth with like our coaching clients. But there's two motivators. There's two main motivators like in the whole world for people: hope for gain and fear of loss. Right? So I want pleasure, I want to avoid pain. So those are like the push and the pull of it all. And if you know your product, your service, your offer to the degree where, as I like to say, like your guns are loaded, like you've got all the ammo you need, like you're sold yourself. I'm good, right? Now you can do something extremely powerful, which is focus on the other guy, focus on the customer, even if they're on the other end of the camera lens or something. Right? In other words, you now have the ability to extrovert, right? As opposed to what would be the opposite of that, introvert. So introvert is like where all my attention's on me. Oh, I hope I pick the right words. I hope I'm doing it right. I hope they like me, and all that introverted crap. Well, if your guns are loaded and you're good, I'm sold. I mean, this is spectacular. I hope for your sake you get it, right? Well, now you could just focus on the person you're attempting to serve because you're already good. Right? Think of it like driving a car. First time you got in a car, right? You got to, where's the buttons? I got to put the hands here on the wheel. Where are those pedals again? So that would be your attention is inside the car. That would be an introverted condition. Okay. Well, now assuming you know how to drive, right? Hopefully your attention isn't on where the pedals are. Now your attention is outside the car. Look at the environment, assess and evaluate and adapt your operations, which you don't even have to think about inside the car because your attention is extroverted. You're outside the car. Right? That's where your attention is. That's how you want to be. And you can't do that if you don't know your offer. So you damn well better know your offer inside and out to the point where you do have that altitude I talked about before. You do know. You see, you can't give what you don't got. You got to know. Otherwise, nobody else has a chance at knowing. They got no shot unless you know, right? So now you can go forth and enlighten them, and any objections or any of the questions and kind of stuff, none of that brings any sort of trepidation or whatever, because you already know the answers. And because you've had, let's say, a number of times at bat, what questions are going to come your way, and you can even handle objections in advance. This is a big topic, okay? And having been in that space for decades, and as much sales as we've done and all that, I can go on and on and on. Of course, we cover this in great depth with our coaching clients, okay? But being able to present your offer in such a way that somebody is motivated to say, here, take some of this worthless money. I want that. You take this nasty money, give me that benefit, right? To be able to communicate in such a compelling way requires that, number one, you have the intention to do so. And like I said, your guns are loaded, and you're not stuck introverting or attached to what will they think. All right. So you want to move forward with intention, but not attachment. I think Shannon's going to cover that a little bit more in what we're about to, this third point that she's going to drop a bomb on you now. Shannon, over to you.
That's right. Well, and to add to what you were saying, this is such an incredible mindset shift for people, because the avoidance of sales, that overcoming of the fear of sales, oftentimes that fear originates out of confusion or self-doubt, right? We talk about imposter syndrome. In our coaching program, we have a very quick way of getting people through imposter syndrome. That's just super easy, because you have to have confidence in what you are delivering to people in order to be confident enough to make that sale, right? The bottom line is most human beings are actually really good people. So they're not looking to rip off another person. And if they have any self-doubt about what they're able to deliver or what they're able to do, they're going to hinder themselves in that process, right? So if you're not clear on what you're offering to somebody else and your ability to actually deliver that, you will kind of self-constrain yourself and call it fear of sales, right? When really all it is some self-doubt wrapped up with imposter syndrome, with a little bow on top of, confusion about what that offer actually is. When you know what you're offering and you know what you can deliver to people, and you know that they're going to be better off on the other side of that sales cycle, they're going to be better off on day one when they start into your program and after they've paid, then you can confidently handle any of those objections. And you're actually excited about communicating with people because like I call it, I'm on the hunt for help, right? I'm on the hunt to help people, and I'm out there looking for who I can help. And because I'm so confident in what we deliver, I'm able to handle these objections very quickly. Now I'll give you two examples that came up recently. And then I'm going to talk about the third way to really overcome your fear of sales. So one is, I had somebody cancel a breakthrough session, which is a session we do where we're actually giving somebody an initial strategy and introducing them to our coaching program. And they canceled the coaching program and said, well, I really want to wait until I'm able to do, X, Y, Z. And my response back was, I really want you to think about the results that you could have in that time period working with us, instead of out there trying to figure it out on your own, doing the same thing you have been doing, which didn't work, right? So on one hand, we can help you be successful in that same time frame that you're willing to wait and struggle and try and figure it out, right? So because I was able to say that, they then rebook the call, right? But I'm only able to say that because I know the value that we deliver, and I can say it with confidence. So you want to make sure that you are in that same position, that you're able to do that. Another great example is somebody who said, I really think my business should be making more money before I invest in coaching with you. And that's the have, do, be, right? I want to have a result before I do the successful actions. And then I can be this leader and CEO that I've always wanted to be. But how do CEOs think, right? If we step back into the beingness of it and we say, oh, well, I want to take the shortest, fastest way to the end result, right? Because I'm always thinking about dollars and cents as the CEO, then I'm going to invest in a proven in a proven pathway in order to get that result quicker, right? But the only way that I could address that is knowing what we deliver. So you want to make sure that you are in that same position. Now, that brings me to number 3, which is you have to have your CEO hat on and be very intentional about your success. One of the things after being on stages all around the world, probably speaking to thousands of people, entrepreneurs, one-on-one, that I find is that a lot of entrepreneurs are extremely casual about their success. And what I mean by that is they treat their business like a hobby, right? Like, oh, I'm going to do these actions today. I'm going to work on Canva. I'm going to make some posts. Maybe I'll shoot a video. And none of that is based on what is the actual end result. What is the target that they're going for? So in a business, you have to operate off of targets and goals. In business, we really call those goals strategic planning, right? So you've got a strategic plan, which has very specific outcomes. And then that is measured based on the targets that you're accomplishing every day, every week, every month. And then you're able to measure how successful your business is going to be at the end of the year. So if you're in business and you have a target, let's say I have a sales target this week to have 4 sales, then it's hell or high water, I'm going to have 4 sales. And because I have that mentality, there is no room for fear. There's no alternate side of I'm going to do these sales calls, right? And the way that I developed that mindset when I first started our business with John, right? John and I started the business together. When we first started, our first goal was to make $20,000 a month so we could quit our jobs. We hated our jobs. We were both extremely miserable at our jobs. And in order to quit our jobs, we said, okay, we have to double our income, double our monthly income, and then we'll walk away from our jobs. And we set a 90-day target to do that. Well, there's no real room when you set a goal that's that big over that short period of time. There isn't a lot of room to succumb to fear. There isn't a lot of room to say, oh, well, I'm not going to do sales calls because I'm afraid of doing sales calls. It was like, I really have to push through this barrier. Even though I'm terrified of doing sales calls, I'm still going to do them because I know the more I do them, the better I'm going to get. It kind of equates to like when you're a kid and you're learning how to ride a bike, you're going to get on that bike. You're going to fall off. It's going to hurt. There's going to be some bumps and bruises and scars and scrapes and all the other stuff that comes with it. But you also know that at the end of it, you're going to have this incredible freedom that lets you go bike riding with your friends, bike to your friend's house by yourself, right? So as children, we're willing to take these risks. As adults, we oftentimes restrain ourselves under the guise of fear. And one of the ways to overcome that is to have a target or a goal that is so powerful, so intentional, that you're not willing to even embrace the fear. You're willing to just move through it and to face it and confront it every day. Now, I'm not saying that is easy. It is not easy. There were many days that I cried my way through it, but the end result was in 90 days, we were making $20,000 a month and we were able to quit our jobs. The glory of that, the euphoria that came from being able to walk out of our jobs that day was far greater than the hardship or the misery or the challenges that I went through picking up that phone and getting really good at making those calls, right? And learning the word tracks and trial and error. Sometimes I was so afraid, guys, I would literally hang up on the person on the other side of the phone, right? Because I didn't know what to say and I didn't know what else to do. I freaked out. I hung up. And then I would have to call them back and be like, hey, we got disconnected, right? And continue the conversation. So when you have a goal and you have the intention of being the CEO of your business and operating on targets like businesses do, and not being casual about, oh, well, if I don't make sales, it's okay. Some people go years operating a quote business without ever making a sale. And somehow in their mind, it's okay, right? And it's not okay to go through that journey and not self-correct along that process, because you're doing yourself a disservice and you're also doing all the potential people you could be helping a disservice as well. So I know that's a big one, a really big one, a lot to think about. John, I'm going to see if you have any closing words on that.
Well, we started with therapy, so let's end with therapy, right? I like it. So we talked before, talk before about the hope for gain and the fear of loss, right? The desire for pleasure and the avoidance of pain. Imagine, and Shannon, this is an example that came up just in our conversation earlier. Imagine that you were in a burning building. Okay. Now, in normal course of life, you would avoid fire and, bursting into flames. Like, that's not a desirable thing. You would avoid such things. But now that you're in it, and this is real, and there's no question about the reality of it, you're in action without a whole lot of attention on, oh, I'm afraid of fire, right? So you're just in action because,
that's
right, that's the avoidance of pain, survival in this case. So the necessity level is super high. Here's an emergency condition, no time for Q&A, action. Action is the answer. Okay. Now, if you can make hope for gain, right, the desire for pleasure, if you can make that as real as here's the fire, here's the bad, right, and here's the good. Here's the problem for most people is they don't develop that. You mentioned intentionality. We could also use the word expectation, right? I expect if I don't get out of this building, I will die. Okay. And that's real for me. I may be wrong, but I think I'm right. So I'm going to act, right? I expect that I'm going to get the Holy Grail, whatever the goal is. Okay. If I act, I expect it. I know I may be wrong, but I don't think I'm wrong. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. So if we can make our goals as real as the pain of being in a burning building, you're going to act. You're not going to be sit around deliberating, indecision. I wonder if no. In fact, when you're at the shopping mall, you're probably going to run into somebody. You know what? You would be perfect for my product. And that may not be the word you use, but you just start to attract opportunities to yourself. Why? Because you're going to get the grail. You have to. It's your purpose, right? So consider that. And if you're vague about what your goals are, you need to get unvague pretty quick. Jenna, we could talk for hours about this. Here's what.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we could go into Napoleon Hill and everything else because, it's, and I love the example of like, you want to actually think about what you're winning. Right. And what you think about, you bring about. So if you're concentrating on the fear, the doubt, the, oh, what ifs, like all of that, then you're just going to get more of that. Right. That's going to perpetuate itself. If you're like, no, screw the fear, I'm going for it, then you're going to get more of that positive gain, more of that momentum in your business. And this does not have to take a long time. Right. Somebody messaged me today that they're in a 1-year coaching program and I was like, a year, that is a long time. Why would you need to be in a year-long coaching program in order to get your business off the ground? Right? Like, business is pretty basic. Like, we do the very basic things. Of course, you need some advice and some guidance and some intuition, some experience, and systemized way to get there. But a year, I was like blown away by that. Right. So, okay, I'll send it back over to you.
Again, it's based on expectations. If we expect it to take a year, I mean, most people give themselves too much time to accomplish things. Right. And if the anatomy of success itself is completing what you start, well, then I'd like to complete as quickly as possible. Sure, there are things that are longer range, and it doesn't mean that if I completed it in 90 days that I've got nothing to do for the rest of the year. No, I mean, we'll keep, scaling up and all that. But point A to point B, that's what how we like to operate. We like to get people into results as quickly as possible because you need wins. Talking about making things real, right? I know all about delayed gratification. Any intelligent person knows that. Okay. But how about some gratification now too, please, right? We could have that too. Well, that's what we want to do is we want to get things done. Done is my favorite four-letter word, D-O-N-E. I love done, right?
That's
So
right.
shorten the amount of time it takes to get stuff done. With that in mind, we're going to shut up, believe it or not. Your next steps are to apply. If you're watching this and you like these ideas, let's apply them, right? It's not just entertainment, as entertaining as I like to think I am. In fact, if you're eager to start putting 25 to 50K a month in your pocket, you need to book a strategy call, which you can do right now. We've got some openings at ceofreedom.com/discovery. So we can just spend 15 minutes or so together, talk about where you're at, what's working, what's not, where we might want to go with that, maybe give some ideas, maybe send you some of our courses, ceofreedom.com/discovery. And it costs nothing. It costs you 15 minutes. So do that. And then next week, we're going to get together again, Shannon, and we're going to talk about 5 steps to creating an irresistible offer that attracts buyers. So you don't want to miss that. Put it on your calendar. We go live on Facebook on Wednesdays at 2 Eastern. And you'll also find us on the other socials, YouTube, et cetera, et cetera. So I think with that, Shannon, we are done.
That's it. Thanks for being with us.